Well, good morning, everyone. I'm sitting here with my Fender, and this is an Acoustasonic Jazzmaster. And I've had this for quite a while, and it's a really neat little guitar. And so I thought I'd use it today to do a little lesson. I have another chord progression I thought I'd show you. But before I do, the question came up about the Bose S1 that I use. There's a subscriber out there that would like to see it. So I'm going to try to show it to you. It just so happens right now I'm hooked into this little practice amp here with my Jazzmaster. And I have a microphone down here for voice, and you'll see it triggering when I show you the pickup in just a moment. I mean the amplifier in just a moment. But, so I'm not really sure when I move that close if I'm going to get feedback. We'll find out though. It's a pretty stable amp. So I'm going to just move that forward here. Let me just move this out of the way. And let me just bring this over here and show you the Bose. This is the Bose S1. And you can see it triggering right now because that's my voice being picked up by this particular microphone here. And yeah, it's pretty stable. I'm touching it right now. You can hear that little booming sound. But this is a really, really neat amp. Right now it has a cover on it. I bought the extra cover, and I'm very glad I did because I had taken it to a jam session, and it's really nice for that because you'll notice I'm not plugged in. It's battery operated, and I forgot how many hours. I think it's like 20 hours of play. It's a really high amount. It's something you wouldn't use before you plugged in again. It may not be that high, but you can look it up. In fact, I'll look it up and I'll write it up there. It'll probably be ridiculously lower than what I just said. Sometimes I get my numbers all mixed up. But anyways, it does have quite a lengthy time that you can use this thing without having to plug it in. So you could take it someplace and you can rest assured that you're going to have enough battery power to take you through a jam session or wherever you're playing. Maybe you're doing a coffee house or something. But what's really nice about this is, well, it doesn't come with a cover, but I put it on there. Like I said, I'm glad I did because when I was coming back from a jam session and I didn't secure it correctly in the back of my car. Well, actually, I have a little Subaru. So the back end there, I had it setting upright like this. I thought it was heavy enough to hold it. And apparently not, because when I got out of the car and opened up the back, it was on its side and it just rolled out. And it fell onto the ground. And I thought, oh no, that's it for that. But no, it still works. In fact, there wasn't a dent or anything on it because I had this little cover on there. It protected it. And it's been working just fine ever since. Never had a problem with it. So yeah, put up with quite a bit of abuse there that day. It's also nice because you'll notice on the bottom here, you have this little spot here. This can actually sit onto a stand. So if you like working with a stand, it has a place for that to go. And so that's a real plus for this as well. I do have a stand for it, but I never use it. I just set it on the ground. Seems to work just fine. And you'll notice it has two input channels here, and then it has an auxiliary. And you'll notice these little spots here, these little openings, and one of them's open because these are transmitters for wireless. And they just happen to sit in there. This one is set up ready to go for a guitar. I'm not using it right now. I could, but I'm not right now. I'm just using the one when it's set for a microphone, and so it's hooked onto the microphone, and it works flawlessly. I mean, you just take it out, plug it in, turn it on, it connects automatically, and it works really, really well. So yeah, it's really a nice little unit. And so this is the Bose S1. I think it's called the Bose S1 Plus because it has these little beds here for the wireless transmitters. The transmitters you have to buy separately. It doesn't come with it. It comes with covers over those plugs. And so you have to pay, I think it was, I don't know if it was a couple $100 a piece. I forgot. But I did pay for it, and I thought it was well worth it. The amp itself is pretty expensive as well. But when it's all said and done, you know, if you pay $1,000, you're getting $1,000 worth of equipment. This thing works very, very well. So it does have an auxiliary. Another nice thing about it, it has a USB power on it, and it has, of course, there's a line out in the front, place for you to plug in and to charge it up right here. I don't know if you can see that really well. Let me get it in the light here. And yeah, so it works really well. Right now, you can see I have it paired Bluetooth to, and it's actually paired to my phone. And there's an app that comes with this, and you can go into the app. And here's the beauty of this thing: you go into the app, and you can actually program this to have certain types of microphone. It's been voiced for, you know, those real expensive Sennheisers and what have you. You can go through and say, I want that microphone, and it'll voice this for that very expensive microphone. Even if you're using a standard 58 Shure mic, it'll sound like a Sennheiser, whatever the numbers are that somebody paid $1,000 for. And it does work quite well. And then the other thing is that you can go in for the instrument, and you can it's voiced for Breedloves, for Martins, for Ovations, for 12 strings. It has voices for mandolins and other types of instruments. So it's really, really neat. It's a great app, and you can go through with your guitar and find something that fits, and it makes your guitar sound real clean and very, very nice amplified. Everyone knows it's very difficult to amplify an acoustic guitar, especially when you're using, say, like a piezo, you know, under the saddle. But with this Bose system, I know I'm sounding like a used car salesman now, but from experience, I can tell you, you'll get good sound from that guitar using this particular amp. So this is it. It's the Bose S1. I think it's the Plus. It's called the Plus. I want to say Pro, and maybe it's the Pro Plus. I don't know. I'll look it up and I'll write it up there, and you'll get that when I edit the video. Okay, so I guess that's all I want to say about this right now. But this is it. So for that person that asked, here it is, the Bose that I use. Great little amplifier. All right, so let's move on. We've already taken up a certain amount of my time. And okay, so now let's look at the second half of this video. And what I want to do is show you a 4-chord progression. It's just 4 chords. And I want to show it to you in the first position. It's very, very simple. It's a chord progression you probably heard a million times in a million different songs. Very, very common. But I also want to show you how to do that very same chord progression up here in another position. Because sometimes I think it's good that we know that the G chord can be found in other places, that we know that the C chord can be found up here. And in this case, the F major 7th can be found up here. And the A minor can be found up here. So I'm going to show that to you so that you can practice it and get it ingrained in your brain, that you don't always have to play it up here. And sometimes moving to these positions up here gives you a whole different feel, a whole different inspiration to what you're trying to play. For instance, this is the F major 7th chord. Sounds so pretty. You can bar it, or you can play it arpeggio style, or you can play it up here. just different, and it gives you a new flavor. So let's go through it. Let me show you each of those chords, and then you practice it and see what you can do with it. I know I always say that, but I'm not showing these to you so that you can copy what I'm doing so much. And if you do, it's fine with me too, but what I'm doing it for is to try to inspire you to explore your guitar. Find different places to do things. If you're a songwriter, these kind of things will help you find the emotions you're looking for to put to those words. Okay, so let's see where we can start. Well, I guess we should probably start with the F major 7th chord. And I'm going to show you that chord in the first position first. And then we're going to put it all together after we do each of these chords. Hold on one second, because I want to make sure I don't cough on you. Got my California weed cup. We're not celebrating weed here. We're celebrating a little town called Weed in California. And if you've never been there, it's quite the place. It's very unique. It was named after a man with the last name of Weed. How would you like to be living with the name of Weed? Okay, so here we go. So let's start with the F major 7th. There it is right there. I'm going to put the chord chart up there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because this is a chord you probably should already know. It's the F chord, except you don't play the high E string. The first string, you're just playing that open. And you'll notice I'm using my thumb, first finger, second finger, third finger. These three fingers are generally dedicated to strings 1, 2, and 3, and the thumb takes care of 4, 5, and 6. So, okay, so that's pretty much how I do finger picking. It's an old style that I learned from a book and also from a teacher when I was a young person. Okay, so there it is, the F major 7th. That's a really neat chord, and it goes really well with the C major 7th. It kind of reminds me of old Simon and Garfunkel song. It was Old Friends. Old friends sat on a park bench like bookends. A newspaper blows through the grass, falls on the round toes of the high shoes of the old friends. Can you see that picture? And they picked that F major chord and put that in there, and it just fits. It fits the motion of that song. Yeah. So F major 7th is a really good chord, but you don't have to play it just up here. You can go down to the 8th fret and put your pointer finger on the 5th string, or the 5th string. Okay, we're at the 8th fret. And then you can go to the 9th fret, and you can take your middle finger and put it on the 3rd string. And then you can take your ring finger, and you can go to the 10th fret and put your ring finger there at the 4th string. And then your pinky again on that 10th fret on the 2nd string. Okay? Now, this is a chord that is going to feel awkward at first, because you have to put a lot of strength into these 3 fingers, and you're used to doing it with these 3 fingers and not working that pinky finger. So, do it a few times. Sometimes if you do it in parts, you'll place your pointer and then place those 3 fingers, or place those 3 fingers and just practice doing it, and take your hand off and put it back on until you get used to that, and it'll automatically eventually find it. Okay, and it's a really, really neat sound. Now you notice I picked up that finger and I reached over to that 1st string there at the 8th fret, and I played that note. Why I did that was, well, the other alternative is to bar the whole thing, and you don't have to pick that finger up. But sometimes that bar, your notes don't ring out as much as when you do it that way. It's an arpeggio. Okay, so it kind of, to me, the reason why I do that is because it just gives me, I don't know, it just gives me another way of saying it. Okay, so now the next chord, that's the F major 7th. So the next chord we're going to do is a C chord. Well, of course, that's probably one of the first chords you've learned, is the C chord. There's different ways to do the C chord in terms of playing that the string here. Let me move over just a bit. In terms of you can play the ring finger on the 3rd fret on the low E, or you can just play the C. Right? That's what we're used to doing. And so C chords is essential. And there's all kinds of stuff you can do with that C chord. When laying your pinky finger down, you pick up that first finger, you now have a C major 7th. Put it back down, you got your C chord, right? Okay, but we're just playing with the C chord right now. So we got the F major 7th, and we're going to play the C, okay? But there's other places you can play the C. And that can be found up on the 8th fret. Now you can bar it, bar the 8th fret, and then lay it's like the E shape. So you bar the 8th fret and use that E shape. And there's your C chord. Right? It's the same thing, but it's fuller. It has more to say. Okay, so the other thing you can do is, if you don't want to bar it, you can actually pick that finger up and lay it down on the 2nd string. And then you can pick it up again and pick up that high E string at the 8th fret. Or you could roll it over. Or you could bar it. Whatever you're comfortable with, okay? Or you can just play the strings 1, 2, 3, and 4, and use that F shape. See, this is the F shape. When you move the F shape up to the 8th fret, it's a C. Okay, so you could do that, or you could pick it up and leave that E, or that first string, open. Sometimes what I like to do is I will roll over to it and play that first string at the 8th fret. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll play the first string at the 7th fret. Hear that? That's when you play. That's how you play that. I don't want to say it because I'll get a copyright, but that's where that particular note, or you'll hear that in that song. Made a little mistake there. Okay, so however you choose to, you can do the C chord differently than playing it down here. If you're not comfortable, you can always go to here, okay? You can always play the F major 7th and the C in the first position. Okay, so the next chord is the G chord. Okay, so there's different ways to do the G chords. There's ways to suspend them and do all kinds of things. So you just, play a general G chord. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put my ring finger at the 2nd string 3rd fret and my pinky finger down on the 1st string 3rd fret. Play it that way. I like that, because I can pick everything up and reach out with that first finger. Okay, so we got the G chord. So we can play the G chord up here. I'm going to say let's just do a triad at the 7th fret, make that D shape, and and you can use that for your G. Yes, you could bar the 5th fret and play it, but it's very awkward and a little bit painful. But, you know, maybe you're already there. Maybe you have bigger, longer fingers than I do, and that's just a piece of cake. But if it's not, you could do this. You could play this chord. You could take your pinky fingers and pick up at the 10th fret. The 9th fret. And that's at the 4th string. Right? Okay. So you could do that too. But I say just play that, see how that sounds. Just these 3. The triad here. It's G. Okay, so let's try it. And now we're going to go to the A minor. Now if you want, you don't have to go up here for the A minor. You can do a bar chord and then just take your middle finger and put it on the 5th string and the 7th fret. Okay. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just bar these 4 strings. It sounds probably a little bit weak, but you could get away with it. Or you can come down here and just pick up the A minor, which always sounds beautiful to me. So let's put those together. So practice that, and as you practice it, try different things with it. So I'm just playing around with it, and that's what you can do with that, and it's a good exercise. It's a good exercise for your fingers and learning more about your fingerboard, where you might find things, and to me it just enhances your playing. So hopefully you have some fun with that, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me about it. And I think we're going to end it right here. This has kind of been a little bit of a long video. I try to keep them about 12 to 15 minutes, and I think I went way over. But that's okay. We'll deal with it this time. But all right. So with that in mind, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. That is if you want to watch another video. And the other thing is, I hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in this world.